We've worked with a lot of suppliers. Our key suppliers are ones that are tried and tested and have made our shortlist to be recommended to clients. If you book them, fine, we'll work with them. But there's 2 people on the blacklist that literally, if you book them, we will not come to that wedding. We will not work that wedding. We refuse to be participating in anything to do with them. We will give you your money back or get rid of them. It's that simple. They're not professional. They're not our standard. We just will not work with them.
Not professional, not demure.
Not very demure, not very mindful of our clients.
You don't want to be pushed in a certain direction.
Yeah.
You just want to fluff around and have a good time and just get the photo video team to kind of go wherever you're going.
Yeah. I also feel like if you want candid though, in the nicest way, you need to be semi-photogenic.
Yeah.
Because you might end up with a heap of photos with Leah with her little dinosaur hand everywhere, or like 1,600 weddings a year. If we've only got 2 amazing photographers, get in fast. That is why that is step number 1 in our wedding planning process and why we want to book them as soon as possible. Hi and welcome back to another episode of Bali Weddings Unveiled. My name is Tristan and I'm here with my co-host
Britta,
and welcome to episode 10. Spirit fingers. We are a little bit delirious. Today we are going to be covering off a very important topic. 1, how do we plan weddings in Bali? What is the step-by-step process? And 2, what is step 1? Key suppliers. So stay tuned. We're going to run you through exactly how we work at Bali Brides and how to plan a wedding, whether you're with us or with another planner or planning your wedding yourself, what steps you need to be taking to plan your wedding in full. Yeah. So Britta, walk me through the step-by-step process of Bali Brides. Things have gotten a lot easier since we've introduced school, which we covered on our last episode. But how do we plan a wedding at Bali Brides? We do have a step-by-step process.
Yes, we do. So step 1, you always start with your key suppliers, which is, first off, we're going to be doing hair and makeup. Mm-hmm. Second, Celebrant.
Yep.
Photo video, that kind of counts as like 2 right there, photo video.
Yeah.
Because most companies offer the photo video together, so sometimes they book this.
Britta's mathing.
Anyway. And then your entertainment, so that can be like band and DJs and everything.
Yep, amazing. So that's step 1. We're going to dive into that a little bit more. What's step 2?
Step 2 is catering. So figuring out who you want for your bar, who's going to serve your drinks, and going, if you're here in Bali, going out for a couple of catering menu tastings and everything like that.
Yeah, and then part of that is obviously also doing your cake. So we do everything food and beverages, step 2. Step 3? Step
3, going to kind of styling and decor.
Styling and decor. Now, typically we would do that over, let's say, 3 to 4 steps. So that would be step 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 realistically, but we kind of do it in one. And the reason for that is a very detailed...
It's a very lengthy process.
It's a very lengthy process to go backwards and forwards, fine-tune the look and feel of your wedding. Then, that also covers things like not just the flowers, but the candles and the lighting and the tableware and the furniture that's going to match. That's a bit of a big step. And then once we've done that, we kind of move on to
the stationery.
Yeah, and then your formalities and all your timings and things like that. So we do have a very step-by-step progress. Every wedding planning company is different. So today we're going to be taking you through our step-by-step process and the kind of things that you need to be focusing on first. And step 1 is the key suppliers. Yeah. So we call them the key suppliers because they are the key to tying your wedding together.
Yeah.
If you wanted to plan your own wedding, these are the 5 things that you would be able to book very easily and straight away and by yourself. But they're also the people that we recommend booking in advance. And why is that?
They book out super, super early. I think you have the numbers on this. How many people get married in Bali?
16,000 on average per year.
Yeah. And you got to think on our key supplier list, how many photo video companies do we have?
Well, I think this is probably the thing that we need to discuss. So the key suppliers, obviously hair and makeup, because yes. Celebrant, which we've already had to sit down with the team from My Bali Celebrant about why that's important. Photo, video, and entertainment. Now, there are hundreds of these people on the islands. There's not very many good ones.
Yes.
And this is the key. So we've been here a long time. I've been here 10 years. You've been here on and off for 5 years. We've worked with a lot of suppliers. Our key suppliers are ones that are tried and tested and have made our shortlist to be recommended to clients. there are certain things that we look out for when choosing a key supplier. Like, first and foremost, they have to be professional.
Yeah. And we're not going to sugarcoat it. We do have people on our blacklist.
Yeah,
that we don't use because of past experiences with them.
Yeah, and there's not many people on their blacklist. I think we have 3 people. Well, we've got 2 people definitely on the blacklist.
I've got someone that I just will not use ever again.
Yeah, like if you book them, fine, we'll work with them. But there's 2 people on the blacklist that literally, if you book them, we will not come to that wedding. We will not work that wedding. We refuse to be participating in anything to do with them. We will give you your money back or get rid of them. It's that simple. They're not professional. They're not our standard. We just will not work with them.
Not professional, not demure.
Not very demure, not very mindful of our clients. But we've tried and tested key suppliers for them to make our list. And not everyone's going to get on there. If you were a photographer and you were like, hi, I'm a photographer, here's my price list, I want to be recommended to your clients. I don't just recommend you to our clients straight away. We will go backwards and forwards, and there'll be an interview process, and there'll be questions, and there'll be show me examples of your work. I will be searching for reviews. Tell me people that have used you so I can get honest feedback from real life people, which honestly, you should be doing from day one. If you're picking a planner, you should be looking at reviews. So
for sure.
Then we do that research for you. You don't need to worry about it. We're going to go do all the research. So our supplier list is small. There's not 100 people on there. In every category, there might be max maybe 15 people. But then we have also broken it down. These are high-end. These are mid-range. These are cheaper. This is budget. So that there is something for everybody on there. Yeah. So to make our short list of key suppliers, what are qualities we look out for, Britta?
We look out for communication. Number 1, I would probably say. Look, still to this day, we work with suppliers that are kind of useless with their communication, but you've got to remember, most of the time, the talent, they're also doing the admin.
The talent, I say this to clients all the time, the talent, which is what these guys are, they're talented in their area of work, and then they're not just, installing lighting, which I know probably is very ignorant, but I think that's easy. Like, hang up the poles, hang the lighting, very simple. If you're a hair and makeup artist, you've got to train for ages. You've got to practice. Like, that's a talent.
Yeah.
Doing photography, getting the right equipment, the right lighting, the right editing, that's a talent. So the talent is very talented at the talent.
At the talent. How many times can we say talent in a minute?
The words are wording today. So, like, the hair and makeup artists, amazing hair and makeup artists, they're not a business person.
They're so bad at the admin.
I am a business owner that moved, like, I studied business. I studied project management. I worked in management before I started my own business. I know how to run a business. I know how to communicate. I know how to do the admin side of a business before wedding planning. So I'm a wedding planner, but I'm also very good at my admin.
Yeah.
Hair and makeup artists are not good at their admin.
No.
The DJs are not good at their admin. They don't know. We've got some suppliers who don't even invoice us. They just send us a message and they say, it's X amount of dollars. Here's my bank account.
Yeah.
And then, we've got one particular singer who, like, just randomly changes his rates on us. So we start going, great, his price is $3 million. No, it's 3.5 on that day because that day I'm supposed to work. Like, they are fantastic artists and talent, but they are not fantastic business people. So we do look for the communication, but we are also on the lookout for really talented people that we can work with because we're used to it. But for you, it would drive you absolutely insane.
Oh, yeah. Can you imagine planning your own wedding and you're just...
No. Some of the suppliers we work with, you would not book if you were...
And this is why we have full-time jobs.
Yeah, you would not book them if you were planning your wedding by yourself because they are useless at the backwards and forwards communication. And, like, some of them I have to literally ring and yell and be like, answer Britta now.
I did that the other day.
I know.
I rang this person 3 times and then the next message I said, can you please reply to Emma because the next time you hear from any of us, it's going to be Tristan.
Yeah, and I literally do. I ring and I lose my shit in a very polite and demure way. But you wouldn't work with them, but we're used to it. So we obviously get to know these people. We use them on one wedding first, and they might do a few weddings before they're officially added to our list. And as they come onto our list, it's like, we've got this person, we've never used them before. I think they're going to be great. They're going to be cheaper for you because we will negotiate a discount just to give us your honest feedback. And that's how they kind of build their way up into our list. They're not just like, here's our price and yep, you're added. It doesn't work that way. So our key suppliers are tried and tested.
Yes.
For the hair and makeup artists, they have to do us first.
Yeah.
There's no ifs or buts about it. If you want to be on the books as a hair and makeup artist, you need to do one of the team or someone that we know personally can vouch for you.
I think that first time we ever used No Fee as well, I think we had a trial with her at your villa.
So Yanti had already been using her. So this is the
Yes.
other thing. So some of our planners are comfortable working with certain people
Yeah.
because they've worked with them before, whether it's from another wedding planning company. I'm a bit more picky. I want to see that firsthand at either Yanti's wedding and be present so I can watch the process and kind of, especially with hair and makeup.
What are they using?
Yeah, what products are they using? Are they like priming your face? Are they using moisturizer? Are they like, there's so many things that I look out for.
Yeah.
But again, like X dancer, X model, these are the things that I look for. Hair and makeup for me is so important. You cannot fuck that up for a bride. So there are people that have been on the books maybe with Yanti and Mita. And Mita, they're recommending them because they've used them. I won't recommend them until I see them firsthand. So yeah, I think with Nofi, Yanti was already using her for a while.
Yeah.
And then she came to one of our parties. Was it yours and Mita's birthday? And the girls used her.
No, that was Rani.
Was it? Someone used her and I got to see firsthand and then we started recommending her. Like it's a process to get on our books.
Yeah.
And also it's very easy to be off our books.
Yes.
If you
Oh my God. And I think that's probably one of the next things is how do we have this list is show up on time.
Yeah.
We've had hair and makeup
Communication,
artists
you got to be on time.
3 hours late before. No, gone.
Yeah.
Like
there are certain things that you definitely cannot mess up on a wedding day. It is not a birthday. It is not a corporate event. It's a wedding. You have to be on time. You also need to be able to take direction.
Yeah.
Okay? Like I've had instances where suppliers, and I won't name who they are or what they're doing, but hey, we need you over here. No, I'm having dinner right now. No, you're fucking not having dinner. Something is happening. You need to be over here right now dealing with that. Like they need to be able to take direction from us.
Yeah.
I had a wedding a few years ago and again, clients had booked their own suppliers, always when they book their own suppliers. And the suppliers arrived and I'm trying to direct them where to set up. They wouldn't listen to me. They wanted to go talk to the groom. I'm like, the groom is busy. This is where I want you. So they need to be able to take direction.
Yeah.
Which is really important. They also need to be flexible with timing. Okay? Because
that's a big one.
They're not allowed to be late, but we are in the weddingers.
Yes.
I don't want a celebrant that's going to come and be like, it's now 4:15, the wedding was supposed to start at 4, I have to leave, I've got something on. No, we're not ready yet, you will wait. And sure, there's a reasonable waiting time, like more than an hour late, I'd be saying like, maybe we need to compensate them or do you need water or do you need a meal? Like we'd be trying to work with them.
Yeah.
But they have to be flexible. Weddings do not always go to plan because time doesn't exist in Bali.
Time doesn't exist. I love that. That's my new saying.
It's my new saying. Thank you, Brady. Any other qualities that we're looking out for? They've got to deliver. They've got to deliver the goods.
Yes.
If you tell me you're going to deliver photos 1 month after the wedding, I best have those photos within a month.
Yes. And even, I think a lot of them give like 2 to 3 months notice for that.
Yeah, it's
like,
always up to 3 months.
It's always up to 3 months. But yeah, we've had, what was it, videographer
6
completely ghosted us.
6 months, stop replying.
Yeah, and so we don't use them at all
Again,
anymore.
the client booked them directly.
Yeah.
And I think consistency.
Yes. That's a really big one.
Consistency. And I'd probably even go a bit further and saying, in particular, actually with everyone, they've got to be personable and they've got to be likable. You need to be able to communicate. Like, imagine getting your hair and makeup done and they're just painting your face and not talking to you. Or not paying attention. Like, you might be in the mirror going, and it's very clear to me that you don't like that right now. What's going on? They need to be able to pick up on these signs and be actually good. And most importantly, because these are the frontline people, they have to speak English and understand English.
Yes, I think having hair and makeup, I think we did touch on this, but hair and makeup, that's the first person you see in the morning.
Yeah.
If it's not us, it's the hair and makeup artist. Like,
they're going to set your day.
Yeah, they're going to set your day. You need to have an artist in that room that can calm you down.
Yeah.
Because it can be very overwhelming when you've got so many bodies in that room.
Yeah. Also someone that will kick people out.
Exactly. Yeah. That happens all the time. Yeah. The amount of times I've had to walk into a bridal room and it's like, okay, everyone out, this person, like she needs some space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are kind of the key things that we look for from the key suppliers. So the reason that we book these suppliers first is, as I said, there's hundreds of them, but there's not many good ones. So what I would say is, in every category, there's probably 2 to 3 amazing ones. Those are like the top tier.
Yeah.
And then there's probably like 6 to 8 good ones. And then there's like a couple of like low range budgety ones that are still okay. And if you're on a budget, they're fantastic.
Yeah.
And then outside of that, I'm like, no. And it's always issues because of quality, because of delivery time, because they don't follow instruction. Like there's certain aspects. And I'm sure there's people out there, if you are a supplier and you're watching this and you want to be on our books, reach out, okay? There might be an audition process where you need to do the hair and makeup for us. There might be let us see your portfolio for photos, or, you know, come in and meet with us first and we can have a chit chat. If you're a DJ or a band, that's a little bit trickier. Maybe for DJs, but bands it's easy. Like, tell me where you're playing, I'll come watch you play.
Yeah.
Have a chat to you. So there is a bit of a process to get onto our books, but once you're there, you're going to get so much work.
Yeah, so much work.
So much work. So key supplies, step 1 is hair and makeup. Hair and makeup, very important aspect of the day. We've done a whole episode on this, so I feel like we don't need to touch too much on this. But again, the qualities that we look for in a hair and makeup artist, we also want to know what products they're using.
They can't just come from the Bali markets.
Do you know how much fake Kylie Jenner I see on the streets?
Yeah,
you have no idea what's in that. Imagine having an allergic reaction on your wedding day because your
gross.
makeup artist has bought $2 lip gloss from the markets. Okay, so we make sure that they've got high quality products. We make sure that they, what sort of products are you using? Where do you get them from? Because there's not a lot of options to buy that sort of stuff in Bali. Yeah. And when looking at hair and makeup artists, I think the biggest misconception about Bali is that it is cheap. But there are certain aspects that are not cheap, and hair and makeup is going to be one of them because
the tax
to get makeup products in here is expensive. If I was just to go to Australia and buy, let's say, a MAC foundation, $40, $50 maybe, here it's close to 100. Because the tax on products into Indonesia, if it's a luxury product, is 100%.
Yeah.
So first of all, if they can't buy it locally, if they want to post it in, it's even higher. And they've got to go pay taxes. It's the whole thing. So a lot of the hair and makeup artists will fly in and out of the country to go to Kuala Lumpur, to go to Singapore, to go to Australia to buy their products. So we like to make sure that the quality of their products is good and what they're using, but it's not cheap. It's not going to be the cheapest part of the wedding. Besides the food and beverage, I'm going to say hair and makeup is probably the most underrated thing budget-wise. People think it's going to be cheap and it's not.
Oh, no. Goodness, no. And I will say, Rani, she's the most expensive on the island, but you should see her kit.
But also,
holy moly,
there is a reason why Rani is expensive, and I think the reason that she's expensive is not what everyone's thinking. And I think she'll be okay with me saying this because we are friends and we obviously do hang out and we get along. And it was actually my suggestion, so this is partly my fault that she's so expensive. But her rates have always been the highest in the industry.
Yeah.
And a few years ago, she was having major back problems, right? Standing up all day, leaning over people, it's not good. And like, I'm talking major. Every time I went to Australia, I had to buy her patches for her back. So you'll see her at some weddings, she's in a lot of pain. And I said to her at one point, I said, babe, stop taking so many weddings. You're working 30 days in a row. It's not healthy. It's not good for your back. And she's like, but I can't because my team and money and whatever. And I'm like, well, increase your rates and take less weddings. And that's what happened. She increased the rates to take less weddings because her back cannot manage as many weddings. And that was her way of like, one, filtering out people, but two, her way of slowing down her workload without losing money.
Yeah.
But yeah, she does have, like, that kit would be worth, I reckon, $100,000 easily.
Oh yeah, it's huge. She needs a table, just a big table alone just to fit all of our stuff on it.
If you have a skin tone that you're not sure about foundation, I can guarantee you Rani's got it.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So yeah, I think it's really underrated. Like, hair and makeup pricing is going to start for one of the cheaper artists on our books, maybe $100 at the very cheapest for hair and makeup, and that's with our budget line. Mid-range, I'm going to say $200 a person, $300 for a bride, and then the higher range, I mean, Rani's the highest. You're looking at $700 for a bride, and that's not including touch-ups, that's not including trials. So I think the other thing to discuss with hair and makeup is it's really important when you're booking that, do you need touch-ups? Because the hair and makeup artist is going to make you beautiful. She's going to arrive at 10, 11, whatever time she's going to start. When she's finished, she's going to help you with your veil and she's going to leave. Or he's going to leave, whoever it is. You're going to walk down the aisle. If you come back out and think they're going to be there, you're wrong. They're gone unless you've physically paid for touch-ups.
Yeah.
Anything else that's really important to discuss with clients or for people to know when booking hair and makeup? Maybe start times?
Start times. Yeah, I mean, if you've got a big bridal party, you're probably typically starting around like 10, maybe 9. But again, it depends on how many team members that the hair and makeup artist comes with. You may even start earlier if you've got a large amount of people. But the bride will always get done last.
Yeah. So when booking a hair and makeup artist, there's a couple of things that people need to realise. One, we need a room for you to get ready in. So if you're in a hotel room that's this big and you've got 5 people in the bridal party, that's not good enough. You need to find a bigger room for them because it's going to be, 2, 3, 4 people. And they're going to need room to put their stuff out. You need space. Second thing is, well, you don't tell the makeup artist, come here at 8 a.m. because what's going to happen is you might be ready by lunchtime. So generally what you will say to the makeup artist is, I need to be ready to start getting photos and dressed by this time. If you're doing first look photos, you need to tell them that I need to be ready by 1 o'clock instead of 3 o'clock. So they will then know, okay, well, it takes me roughly X amount of time to get you ready and everyone, and they will tell you their start time. So we never say to a client, what time do you want the hair and makeup artist there? No. When we are closer to the wedding, the hair and makeup artist will tell us what time they're going to be there.
Yeah.
Other things to consider when booking a hair and makeup artist well is, do you want touch-ups? Okay, if you want to be fixed up all throughout the night, or even after all your photos are done, you need to pay for them to stay. And I think the last thing is trial.
Definitely a trial. And I will say, I don't think you'll ever be disappointed in like Rani or Fikri,
who are our top tier, and even the lower ones. I mean, you might need a couple of tweaks, but you're always going to be fairly happy. I mean, we don't use shitty hair and makeup artists.
No.
We just don't.
No,
it's not a thing. And if you find your own hair and makeup artist and you want to do them, like, no offense, but told you so.
Yeah, I do think a trial is really important. Just if you have a particular look and you're really striving towards a certain photo that you found and you want that exact same thing.
Yeah.
And then obviously on the trial day, you might tweak a few things and they'll take it on board and they'll be ready for your wedding day.
Yeah, and I think also you need to be realistic. We had this major issue a few years ago. Rani did my hair and makeup. Actually, it was for the F45 party. And she did a high pony. Now, I have a lot of hair. She did this beautiful high pony and it was so thick and luscious. And she had people sending her photos of my hairdo that they wanted for their wedding. And she was like, you have a third of the amount of hair, Tristan. Like, unless you have extensions or something, that looks not going to happen. And we did have a bride that almost made her cry because she wanted the high pony and she bought her extensions, but it's still nowhere near as thick as what my hair is. Like, you can't see it because it's straight, but I have so much hair back there. So I think being realistic, if you've got straight hair and you want it curly, like you can't do that in Bali. It's going to drop. You need to be realistic about the look that you want. If you have like teeny tiny eyes and you're going for a darker look, that's going to shut your eyes up. It's not going to look good. So be realistic, but also take the advice of your hair and makeup artist.
Yeah, absolutely.
Photo, video.
Yes.
Key things to be looking at when you're booking photo and video. One, they're two separate companies sometimes they're together.
I mean, I feel like it's kind of hard. I've had quite a few clients the past couple of weeks wanting to book in calls with photo video companies because I feel like people are maybe just getting a bit more detailed now that I'm taking on a kind of bigger weddings.
Yeah.
I think you've got to, you go one or two ways. You're either very candid, you don't want to be pushed in a certain direction. You just want to fluff around and have a good time and just get the photo video team to kind of go wherever you're going. Yeah.
I also feel like if you want candid though, in the nicest way, you need to be semi-photogenic.
Yeah.
Because you might end up with a heap of photos with Leah with her little dinosaur hand everywhere, or like, you need to be a little bit photogenic and be okay that you might not have, beautiful post photos if you're not the
most photogenic person. Yeah. The other direction is you don't know what the hell you're doing and you need someone to direct your whole day from start to finish.
And some of them are fantastic with that, like, the poses and this. I think a really key thing when you're booking your photographer is look at their Instagram, look at their website, and figure out the style you like.
Yeah.
I'm a really picky person. I feel like if I got married again in Bali, I would really struggle to find a photographer because, as we said, like there's a couple of fantastic photos. Like I would say Terralogical and Axio, in my books, by far the best on the island. Very expensive. They come with a price tag. But just the look, the overall vibe, like the magazine, like they're so good. And then from that, like we've got a lot of great photographers, but they're not that level of photography yet. Yeah. They might be in a couple of years. And then we've got, the more budget ones that are, cheaper and cheerful. I don't like their editing at all. But some of our brides love them.
Yeah.
I would be the most picky person because Indonesia and Bali as a whole, I don't know anyone here that uses Photoshop, first of all. No. I don't think they know how to use it. Simple things like the other day, I wanted a tree photoshopped out of the back of my ceremony because it was smack bang in the middle. Photography can't do it because they use Lightroom here. They use an editing software. And my biggest pet peeve, you will know, when they Lightroom, they're making the person look great, but they completely white out the sky.
Yeah.
Everything is whitewashed. You can't see the blue sky, and it annoys me so bad that I would not be able to pick a photographer here because the only company I know that does that doesn't actually operate anymore for weddings. He only wants to do elopement. So I think you need to have a really good look at the style. Like, I like the photo where we're focused, but the background is blurred. You need to figure out your style and then tell your planner that. This is the look I like. These are the kind of photos I like. If you don't know and you're the kind of person that is just like, I just want a good photographer, that's fine. We can help you pick your photographer based on that.
Yeah.
But I think doing your research and having a look online to the kind of style that you like is great. And also being like, I'm not a photo person. I want 5 photos. That's it. I don't want to be pushed into photos. So we know to cut your photo time from an hour to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
What other things would you recommend for people when booking in their photographer? I guess hours. How many hours do you recommend?
Yes. That's probably a really big one. If you know that say if your wedding goes till midnight, did you want a lot of your party included in that?
Yeah.
Some people do. Some people want majority of their content to be all party content. So,
Yeah.
but you've also got to think you need them from the start. So they're typically starting around 2:00.
Yeah, to cover the hair and makeup and
Cover
the
the hair and makeup.
preparation and the getting ready and the guest
Yeah.
arrival.
I think I had photo video company booked for 12 hours last year.
Yeah.
And yeah, because my clients just wanted every single thing covered.
Yeah. So you need to figure out what
yeah.
moments of the day you want covered. I mean, we've had quite a few brides from Singapore and Hong Kong, and they're doing Chinese tea ceremonies at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
Do you want that covered? And then if so, you can't book a photographer for 2 hours, have a 5-hour break and come back. That's not a thing. It's consecutive hours, which I think is really important to note. When you book a photographer, it is consecutive hours shooting.
Yes.
So
they also, if you're booking them for say 12 to 16 hours, because some of them do 16 hours as well, they need meals.
You got to provide meals and
2 meals,
water as
lunch
well.
and dinner.
Like water is essential. So yeah, I think timings for standard weddings, we normally recommend 8 hours. If people don't really mind, 2 till 10, that covers formalities, the ceremony, all the photos after the ceremony, and then cocktail hour, photo shoot, dinner, speeches, and a little bit of party time. By 10 o'clock, everyone's on the dance floor. But you need to figure out, no, I want them there earlier when I'm having breakfast or capturing the boys swimming in the pool, or we want them at 11 o'clock at night because we want to do a sparkler exit on the way out. So you need to think about what moments you want captured so we have a better idea on how many hours you need them for. What other aspects do you think are important for a good photographer?
I feel like the head photographer, again, English.
They need to speak English. Yeah.
Yes, we are there on the day, but also I know that I'm still learning Bahasa, so my Indonesian's not great. I myself need to be able to talk to them. Yeah. You need to be able to talk to them.
And this is the thing, again, if you're booking your own suppliers, they might be fantastic photographers. There's no guarantee they speak English.
Yeah.
And if you're like, I want this photo, how are you going to communicate that with your photographer? So again, the company you're talking to, like every company we talk to, I think there's only one that we talk to the photographer there, and that's because he owns the company.
Yeah.
The rest is all an admin person who's been hired because they speak English. So again, the person you're dealing with on the day is not the person that's showing up to the wedding.
And again, all of our suppliers on our list, they all speak English.
Yeah.
And even their teams. So
that's super important. I think the other thing as well is that what time are you going to take breaks? Especially if you're doing the maid hours. Like, do you have a set break time? Because again, all of the suppliers that we work with, they don't get a set break time. But they will eat when they are told to eat. Or bride and groom have sat down, they've got a few photos of dinner, you've got 15 minutes, run off and eat now. They need to be flexible and be okay with that. Not like, we must have a break from 6:30 to 7 because we might be running late and speeches might be happening at 6:30 or 7 or something important. So they need to be flexible and you need to make sure that they're okay with that.
Yeah.
I think the other thing as well is turnaround time. How long is it going to be before I get my photos? Do I get a sneak peek?
Yeah. Typically the sneak peek in a good week should come within a week.
Yeah.
A sneak peek. And
just a few photos you can pop up on your socials.
Yeah. The rest of it will take 2 to 3 months.
Yeah. And one really interesting thing, actually, I just had a meeting. Actually, I took it from the hospital. I had a meeting when I was in the hospital the other week with one of the photography companies who are launching their new packages. And one of their biggest things, they do not give clients unedited photos. So you get 200 edited photos, that's it, or 300 or whatever, but you can buy extra edited photos, but they will not release it because that is their copyright, that is their photos, and they do not want you editing them outside of the Terralogical brand because they've built their brand, and again, they're one of the best in Bali, and they don't want their work tarnished because, again, they're artists, and that's fully within their right. So do you give me the unedited photos?
True.
Yeah.
Never thought of that.
No, neither did I until I was running through the team with it, and I was like, it annoys me. Because I want them to have the photos, but I also get it. Like, you are an artist and there'd be nothing worse than us, posting some of our wedding photos and someone's gone and edited and they look horrible. And it's like, oh, Bali brides did a terrible wedding. They're exactly the same. They're protecting their work.
Yeah.
The other thing as well that I think is really important to ask the photography team is, how many edited photos do I get? Do I have to pay for extras? photo albums aren't really a thing these days.
No.
Yeah.
I think the last one I did was Amelia and Dan. I think they got one back in 2023. That's the last one I ever did.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
We had a wedding album sitting in the office for like 3 years. Actually, I think it's still there. I don't know. I need to ask Auntie. But I was like, why is this here? Because the couple just never bothered to pick it up. They were supposed to take it before they went home. And then they're like, well, we'll be back in Bali in 6 months. We'll grab it there. Never did. And we just had this random wedding album. So yeah, wedding albums aren't really a thing. But I'd also see if there's any add-ons. Like I know at the moment this year, the big trend is getting the film, like, you know, the proper photos. So see what add-ons that you can get.
Yeah.
And then also, like, what are the options if we need to extend you on the night? Because you might be running late and you need to make sure that your photographer is flexible. And, you know, if we're running late, can you stay an extra hour?
Yeah.
What are the fees for that? And just make sure you're very aware of that.
Yeah.
Video, I think, is going to be the same sort of guidelines for
very similar
photography. I think the only key differences there is going to be you obviously need songs for your video.
Yep.
Keep in mind that when you're choosing songs, videographers here are a little bit different from other places in the world. Like I know definitely a lot of videographers out there they will buy rights to music to use on your video so that you can publish that anywhere. With Bali photographers, they're going to say pick a couple of songs and you might just have a top 40 song on there, something beautiful. You can't publish that in a lot of places because of copyright.
Yeah.
So that's also something to be mindful of.
And then we got Celebrants.
Celebrants. Now, we haven't really touched on this yet because we did just do an episode with the Celebrants 2 episodes ago. Celebrants, I mean, what can we say about them? They are the very first interaction for your guests.
Yeah.
They're running your ceremony.
They set the mood.
That's your wedding. Your wedding's a ceremony and then the party, but the ceremony is the key thing. So I think a celebrant is up there very important. You need to make sure, first of all, that they speak good English. If you are a Western couple and you're getting married in the English language, then you speak good English.
I think there is only a couple of celebrants here that I know of that speak Mandarin.
Min speaks a bit of Mandarin.
Yeah.
Rachel, who's a celebrant, she's not on our books, but she speaks Mandarin. So if you are a foreign couple, you need to be mindful that you're outside of your country. So if you want a Japanese speaking celebrant, it's probably not going to happen in Bali. Get married in your home country or get one of your friends or family members to translate or print the ceremony out in Japanese. You need to be mindful that when you come to a third world country where English is the second language, you're not going to have a lot of variety in different languages for your ceremony.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good point if it is a multicultural wedding is just having programs on the seats just that can fully translate it, because if you've got a family member translating the whole ceremony, you're now adding
extra time,
an extra half an hour to that ceremony. If your original ceremony is going for half an hour,
for sure,
you've got to schedule in more time for that. So I like the program.
Now, we did touch on this in the Celebrant episode, but I do really want to go into this in more detail because this is a very common question we get. Why can't my friend or family member be the celebrant? I've got a friend or family member, they're a celebrant, they're a public speaker. We're not paying them, they're going to do our ceremony because it's not legal.
You can't hear unless you have a proper work permit and you are taking work away from a local or someone that has actually
trained
or gone down the right track of getting an actual work permit. It's me, it's you, we are all qualified, we've done the right thing, we've paid the money.
They're also professional. And I think that was a good thing to take away from our episode with My Bali Celebrant is a professional celebrant is there to work. So there's not going to be any funny business, there's not going to be any I don't know where the rings are, ha ha ha. Like there is always going to be, if there's a problem, there will be a solution that goes with it. They work well with the wedding planners. They work well with us. And key things like they know how to work with the photographers and where the photographers want them. They know the venues. They know how to maneuver out of the way of all the photo shots. Having a friend or a family member, unless they're a professional celebrant in Australia, first of all, why are you even considering it? You're not going to ask your friend to make your wedding cake because they're not a cake maker. I don't know why you would try that with a celebrant and be like, it's easy, they're just talking. No, they're not just talking. Like there's a whole thing to it as well. But again, it is illegal. You cannot have a friend or a family member be your celebrant unless they have a work permit, and weddings do get checked.
And where you can bring someone into your ceremony and you can get them to
you can get them to write it, and our celebrants here will read it. It's fine.
They can read out your love story, like that is, or a reading, or something that if you are so desperate to have them in your ceremony, like that can happen. It's just when you're doing the repetitive vows and things like that, the ring exchange, it needs to be the Bali celebrant.
Yeah, you need to have the professional, and it is supporting the local culture. I mean, I couldn't just take Yanti to Australia and she works there as a wedding planner.
Yeah.
It's not a thing. Even if I didn't pay her, Yanti's not allowed to work in Australia.
No.
So you need to respect the laws of this country and understand that, no, you can't do that. I don't know why we're allowed to do it for MCs. It's a very grey area because MC is not a proper profession here.
Yeah.
But anything that is a profession in Bali, you have to hire a local to do, or somebody with the correct work permits. And it's also a respect thing. Like Brady pays thousands of dollars a year to have his work permit and to get the insurances and do everything legally. It's not fair if your friend comes in and does it for free.
Exactly.
So celebrants, I think, really important, first of all, that they're going to be legal. Family friend can't do it. Let's touch on the difference between a legal and a commitment ceremony. So what's a commitment ceremony and what's the difference?
Commitment ceremony, I like it because it's a bit more low-key.
Yeah.
And also, your guests don't know if it's legal or not.
It looks and feels exactly like a legal wedding. Nobody back home will know that you are not legally married. Yeah. They do the rings. You sign a certificate if you want to.
Yeah.
It's the same process. It's exactly the same.
It's the same process, but not. Like, if you're doing a legal ceremony here, we recommend to be here about a week before.
Yeah.
And you've got to go to...
There's a whole process.
The office, wherever you're going. I've never actually had to coordinate it because someone else does that.
I can go through that in a minute.
You can go through that. But the clients go off, they get their photos taken or get all their certificate and things ready.
It's a bit of a process. You need some time and you need to be allocating some of your holiday time to do that. But a commitment ceremony, it's just a non-legally binding ceremony. It looks and feels like a legal ceremony, but you would need to legalise your marriage back in Australia. Gives you much more flexibility because you can choose your celebrant. You can, change the text. You can write your own stories. You've got complete control over the ceremony wedding. A legal wedding here is very different. Yeah. So first of all, you must be registered under a religion recognised in Indonesia.
Yes.
So not just a religion, recognised in Indonesia. Now, the only religions that are formally recognised here is Buddhist, Muslim, Christian, Hindu and Catholic. All right? So 5 religions that you can get married under. First of all, Catholic, out. We're not going to do Catholic weddings unless you live here and you're local because you've got to go through 3 months of pre-marriage counselling. You have to get permission from your home church to get married abroad. You must get married in the Catholic Church. You can't get married anywhere else. Must happen in the Catholic Church. There are so many loopholes to jump through. Honestly, if you're a foreigner, do not get married under Catholic here. It's just, we won't do it personally. We don't recommend it. Muslim, look, we can do them again. They're a little bit tricky like the Catholic. There's a lot of paperwork involved in conversions. Hindu, we don't really do. The main one that I would say that we do is going to be the Christian or / Protestant weddings. So for that particular wedding, the laws have changed so many times over the years. I'm very fortunate that I own my Bali Celebrant with Heather. So I know all the laws and the legalities. So back in the day, we'd just tick a box and say they're both Christian and they would come and they would get married, no proof required. Last year, we completely lost legal weddings. Yeah. And this has happened twice since I've been in Bali. So in 10 years, twice, randomly, legal weddings.
There's no notice.
There's no notice. The first time there was. The first time it was, from this month, we will no longer be doing legal weddings at all for foreigners, and it was for whatever reason. Second time it was, we showed up with the documents for a legal wedding. They're like, oh, we're not doing them anymore. Excuse me, what? Oh, no, we're not doing them. The person that runs the legal aspect is retired, so we don't do legal weddings anymore. And we're like, what the F do you mean? We came in, we lodged all the intentions, we did all the paperwork. Yeah. It was a whole thing. Anyway, we've just got all the documents recently.
But how long ago was that?
Well, that was May last year.
Yeah.
So what actually happened is they got completely taken off the table. We got a couple processed, but then the legal weddings came back, but they came back with changes. So first of all, if you're a foreigner, Protestant is the easiest way. Second thing, if you're a foreigner, currently we can only do weddings for New Zealand, UK and Australians. Any other currency, any other citizenship, currently we're not doing. And the reason for that is we need a certificate of no impediment or an affidavit. It's got a different name in each country, but that needs to come from an embassy within Indonesia. Australia and the UK are here. New Zealand is in Jakarta, but we can arrange that via post. So that's super easy. The other one's way too hard. So the new requirements, you now need to prove religion. So you need to be baptised. If you are not baptised, that's obviously going to be an issue, but we can get you in earlier than your wedding and we can get you off to the church and to meet with the minister and we can have you baptised. So we can do it now. Only issue is it's taken about 5 months to get the certificates through. So for the time being, it's a stop sell. So legal wedding, 1, got to declare a religion. 2, have to be baptised. 3, we need you in Bali at least a week before the wedding because we have to take you out to your embassy and get all the documents from your home country to basically say, yes, you're allowed to get married.
Yeah.
There's going to be a fee in that. It's probably about $200 depending on the embassy. We also need to take you for photos because photos go onto the wedding certificate. That's a super easy process. We physically will lodge all of the paperwork through My Bali Celebrant. So Bali Brides works with My Bali Celebrant. We lodge all the paperwork, the intents to marry, absolutely everything. The last thing is, if you get married under a religion, that certificate you get from the religion is not legal. You actually need a second step, and that is having your wedding witnessed by the chaplain and civil office, which is the equivalent to births, deaths, and marriages. So they have to witness the wedding, make sure that you cover all the aspects of the legal, they check all the documents, and then they issue the legal certificate.
Yeah.
So you actually get 2 certificates. Back in the day, that actually meant 2 ceremonies. There was a ceremony from the religious person, and then the chaplain and civil would come in and legalise it. These days, it depends on your wedding planner and it depends on your celebrant that you choose, because we don't have to do that anymore. We just do all the paperwork ourselves. The chaplain and civil doesn't even attend our weddings anymore because we've worked with them so many times. They just trust us. And then the last aspect of it is you don't get to choose really your person, because the person has to come from the church in that regency, which is going to be hit and miss on the English. We do have a couple of priests with My Bali Celebrant that we try and get them on every wedding if we can. Their English, I'll be honest, it's not fantastic, but it's decent enough you can understand them.
Yeah.
And then you also don't get to pick your ceremony script. You can remove a lot of the prayer aspects to shorten it, but you have to go by the church guidelines of your scripting. So I think that's the main difference for legal versus commitment. 99% of our couples pick commitment anyway, and they just legalise things back in Australia.
No one is none the wiser on the day either.
No, and you can legalise it in Australia before you come to Bali, or what I always recommend is legalise it 3 months after on your anniversary, so you have the same date. And then watch your wedding video, have dinner, go see grandma and legalise it over dinner with grandma so she feels involved if she didn't make the wedding.
Yeah.
So there's so many different ways you can do it. What sort of questions do you think we need to be asking celebrants if, you don't have a planner and you're booking a celebrant? What key aspects do you need to be asking?
I think first kind of steps is, do you want it to feel very local? Do you want
Balinese culture?
Yeah. Do you want a bit of Bali in there, or did you want a Westerner? You know that they're going to speak very good English.
Yeah.
However, we do have local celebrants that speak fantastic English.
Yeah.
So that tossing up if you want a Western or a local, do you want a male or female?
Do you want them to be tall or short?
Tall or short?
And
beautiful or
that
not
sounds
as
weird,
beautiful?
but I had a couple that wanted the celebrant to be out of the picture because he was so tall and they were short.
Yeah.
So just have a think, you can afford to be a little bit picky here and
yeah.
figure out what you want in a celebrant. And we can, again, if we're planning your wedding, we can guide you through. We will ask you the questions and then recommend.
Yeah.
But if you obviously don't have a planner, or you're with another wedding planner, or you're planning the wedding on your own, these are some good questions that you need to know and ask. I think the other thing as well, what time do you arrive to the ceremony? And do we get a meeting with you before?
Yeah. I've had a client recently, they wanted to have a chat. A video call with one of our celebrants just before booking, because
you want to make sure you're happy and that you vibe
exactly.
with them. Yeah.
The vibe's got to be there. You got to get along well, if that makes sense. But yeah, you want your day to flow well.
Yeah.
That is the first point of the day with your guests as well.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the key moment. The wedding is the ceremony, let's be honest.
Everything else is the party.
Yeah. Now, I will make it clear that a video call here is not very common with suppliers. In Australia, I think even most countries, it's very common because you do not have a wedding planner.
Yeah.
Here you've got a wedding planner. We've already done all that research. We've already had the calls with the celebrants, with the photographers. We've already done that research with you. We know who they are. So it's not really common practice to have meetings with these people prior. So just be aware of that.
Yeah.
That you might get pushback. I mean, as your wedding planner, we'll always advocate for you.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to know. Also, I think contingency plans, if you don't have a wedding planner, what happens if we're running late? Do you stay back, or how many bookings do you take in a day?
Yeah. Because I think we chatted to Nofi about this, hair and makeup, is if you're booked for a wedding that day, you don't take any other bookings.
Yeah.
Unless, Celebrant's probably a little bit different. Some people may have a morning ceremony, but you've got to make sure.
Well, they might have dinner. They've got lives. What if they've got a dinner at 7 and you're supposed to start at 3:30 and you don't start till 6?
Yeah.
That's not okay. But you need to ask what happens, because things happen. It could rain. You could be sick. Some people could be late, and you're absolutely not walking down the aisle till everyone arrives. So you need to work out contingency plans. I guess pronunciation of names, you need to explain to them how to pronounce your names and anything. Can we have readings?
Yep.
I think that's kind of the basis of things.
Yeah.
And do you have scripts I can choose from, or do you write it, or can I provide my own script?
Yep. And I think a few people recently, they're saying we don't really want someone that's going to be too overbearing when it comes to the ceremony, because they want it to be nice.
Yeah.
You know, like that. I know I think there's some celebrants that we've got, they can be very lively and interactive, and some people just don't want that.
No.
So yeah, we've got a big range.
So again, have just an idea in your head of what you want, and then when you're ready, reach out. I mean, my Bali Celebrant is the #1 wedding celebrant agency on the island. I'd highly recommend them, not just because I co-own that company, but we've got the biggest range of celebrants.
Yeah.
Also, if you're not booking through my Bali Celebrant, what happens if you get sick before my wedding? Yeah. Are you going to be there still, or do you have a replacement? I think that's a really key thing to note.
That's a really big thing.
Yep.
Someone who can just pick up the pieces.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that kind of covers off on celebrants. Now, the next area of our key supplier list that we like to book far in advance is your key entertainment. So there's lots of entertainment in Bali, you know, fire dancers and Balinese dancers and magicians. Key entertainment is your music.
Yeah.
DJ, band, acoustic, are you having both? So this is the next step that we cover off. What would you prefer, DJ or band?
I like both.
I'm exactly the same. I was going to say, I can't choose. I'm a both girly through and through.
Both.
And my wedding, my 30th birthday party, and recently our Bali Brides party, we had both.
I just really love live music.
Same.
We go to concerts every year. Like, we're very big concerts girls.
But not everyone does. So I guess for me, the aspect of I love live music, but I like both because live music doesn't go forever. You've got to have in between. But I like the interactiveness of a live band. Like bands, when we are choosing and shortlisting, what are key things that we look for?
Pronunciation.
Must be able to pronounce English words. Because
TH.
1,000 years.
1,000 years.
I loved you for 1,000 more. No, straight away out the door.
1,000.
Yeah, so I've actually gone to bars and found bands.
Yeah.
That's how a lot of the bands have ended up on our books.
How'd you find a gung?
Literally from a pub.
Yeah.
It was Bali VIP years ago. He was singing. I was like, you have a beautiful voice. Approached him, had a good chat.
Real entertainment, solid dev.
Yeah, so he's one of our top listed bands.
Yeah.
Fantastic English. We had a good chat. I got along with him. Great. Send me your rates through the weddings. What do you need? Rider gear. And again, we had a couple of weddings and then we just started using him.
Yeah.
Also super flexible.
Yes.
Very easy to work with and
very affordable as well.
Very affordable. Yeah. And even like Roger, I found him in a restaurant. I went out for dinner with Heather and we were talking and I was like, stop. And I just was mesmerised. He was playing guitar and singing and I could not stop watching. She's like, he's the best singer. So again, I approached him, asked him a few questions. What are your rates? What do you need? And then we got him on for weddings. And a lot of the people on our books we have personally found.
Yeah.
Or we've found them on Instagram and then had a chat with them. Instagram's huge here.
Yes, it is. They're not great on Instagram.
No. Some of them are.
And I think that's probably one of the biggest things when it does come to entertainment here is say...
You have to trust us.
Yeah, that like when it comes to entertainment, you just need to trust us 100% because the Instagrams that majority of them have, non-existent. It's useless.
Well, also they're singing, so who's recording them?
Exactly, yeah.
So I think when it comes to bands, the key things that we look for is pronunciation.
Yeah.
We also want to know, are they taking any other gigs on the day? Making sure that they're not coming to our wedding and trying to go to a bar afterwards. So if we're running late, they can't. How many people did they bring? What are their requirements? So first of all, they're going to have a rider list.
Yes.
So when you're paying for a band, you 100% need to factor in that you need extra money to spend on all the equipment they're going to require. So acoustic, you need chairs. So typically you can just hire extra chairs from your ceremony and use that for the band. But they need microphones, they need mic stands, they need keyboard stands, they need everything else that comes with it. Some of the bands don't even like have their own drum kits. They want us to hire it in. So what is their rider equipment? And we need to price that up. Key factors as well is what is their vibe? So I know there's a couple of bands that only do acoustic. So if you want them during party time, it's not going to be a viable thing. We also need to know how many band members there are because we need to feed them.
Yeah.
And then I think for clients budgeting in for a band, what areas of the wedding do you envision them? Are they singing when you walk down the aisle? Are they singing at cocktail hour? Are they singing at dinner? Because we need to have equipment set up in every single area of that wedding. We can't just pick up the ceremony equipment and move it over to dinner because they're there at 2:00 for a sound check normally. So you've got to factor in the different costs. And there are some very cheap sound companies and there's very expensive sound companies, and there's not really an in-between. So I know that, for one particular band, they're very particular that they will only work with 2 sound companies, and that equipment is like close to $2,000 when the band's only $3,000. So you really need to ask bands, what equipment do you need, and work out the cost of that to see if you can afford them.
Yeah.
Are they open to learning songs? The bands that we work with will learn a minimum of 2 songs for you. So if you're walking down the aisle to a particular ceremony song, they will go away and they will learn it if they don't know it already.
Yeah, definitely.
Are there any venues they don't work at their travel fees? Some bands charge travel fees, some don't. Again, what happens if the lead singer falls sick on the wedding day? Is there kind of contingency? So these are things that we look out for. Like Agung, he's got another 2 singers with their band.
Yes.
We always specifically ask him, if you're booking a band, who is the lead singer going to be? Because you might find a company on Instagram and then book them and, oh no, it's not that singer today, it's a different singer.
Yeah. Oh, that happened to me last year. I think one of my weddings, I messaged Agung, I'm like, who is this singer?
Yeah, because we just assumed it, because we'd always done a 6-piece band, we dropped it down to a 5-piece band.
And he always comes with the 6-piece.
Yeah, but apparently he didn't come with the 5-piece band, and I had a little whinge and he showed up 45 minutes later. So you need to find out, like, when I book the package, who is the lead singer. I mean, you don't need to know who the guitarist is and the drum kit and whatever. And then again, like, how many sets do you play and how long do those sets go for? Yep, so key things for a band. DJ.
When do you want them to play as well?
Yeah, cocktail hour, dinner.
Even for ceremony, because that's
like 5 minutes of ceremony.
Yeah, I know. But it's also, say at Wonderland, that's a completely different area. That's another set of rider that you got to think of as well. So
yeah. And then the other side of entertainment, the key entertainment, is going to be the DJ. This is an area that I really struggle with clients. I can't send you a portfolio of a DJ. I'm sorry.
No.
He plays music, he takes requests, he's going to pick up the vibe of the wedding, he's going to play. Like, what more do you want? I do not understand when the client's like, can you send me all of the DJ profiles and what information are you hoping to see there? Like, can you answer that? Because I don't know.
I don't know.
If you are a client or someone getting married and you know the answer to this question, please tell me, because I don't know if I'm just oblivious. But even when I had my wedding, I didn't ask for any of the information on the DJ. Like, can you take requests? Yes. Do you speak English so I can come make requests? Yes.
Can you mix the music well? Yes.
This is the music that I like. So for the Bali Bride Center, when we are picking DJs, our requirements, first of all, professional.
Yeah.
Must be on time. Must speak English to take requests. Also, very key thing, must have proper DJ equipment. What sort of equipment are they using? Because we had a DJ show up to a wedding that was just using Spotify.
Yes.
Who was that? Did we book them? I don't feel like we did. Was it a new DJ? So they literally were not mixing music. They were just pulling up Spotify and play. So at the end of a song, it was like this awkward 3 seconds because it wasn't being mixed. So these are the key things when we're looking for DJs. Like, do they speak English? What equipment do they come with? Some DJs will just show up and expect the DJ booth to be ready and sound check together with the DJ decks, and they just bring their laptops. Yep. Some DJs will bring DJ decks. Some people will bring the DJ decks, sound and equipment. So what equipment do you come with? If they don't come with equipment, you need to ask, what equipment do you actually need to work?
Yeah.
And then
DJs are all very different as well. Like, I know Arshad, he only likes to play with a certain
DJ
type of DJ decks, which is very expensive. I think I got a quote for them for like 5 or 6 million last year.
Which is like triple the cost of most other DJ decks. So if they don't come with equipment, what equipment do you require? Because some of the DJ equipment is going to be very expensive to hire, and you need to factor that into your budget.
Yeah.
What time do you arrive? Are you coming for sound check?
Yeah.
And then again, like, if we're running late or we want to extend, can you extend the music out? And then key things you need to be telling your DJ, first of all, is what time you want them to start playing, and then what time your curfew is, because obviously the music needs to be off by a certain time at all the venues. Yep. If you do have a band and a DJ, you also need to tell the DJ, hey, we also have a band, this is the band name, and intro them, so they can work together of, all right, your set's finishing, I'm starting the DJ, and they can work together in that kind of capacity. If you have a wedding planner like us, we do that for you, so it's not a massive deal.
Yeah.
Anything else that we kind of look for DJs? It's too hard for DJs.
It's really hard.
Just trust us, please.
Just trust us.
Just trust us. The DJs we work with are amazing.
That's all we ever ask, is to trust us.
Professional. They're on time. They stay back if we need them to. They will find songs if we need them. They will mix songs. They will mix, 10 seconds of the song and 5 seconds of the song and combine them if you need. Like, they're fantastic. So just trust us. I can't show you a portfolio.
No.
If you know what sort of stuff you want to see from the DJ, please tell me, because I don't know.
Yeah.
Other key supplies, that's basically it from the key supplies. So that is step number 1 in the wedding planning process for us, is getting that locked in as soon as possible, because as we've said, hundreds of suppliers, only limited good ones that we want to work with.
Yeah.
So 1,600 weddings a year, if we've only got 2 amazing photographers, get in fast. That is why that is step number 1 in our wedding planning process, and why we want to book them as soon as possible. So your very first call with Bali brides, should you book in your wedding with us, is going to be locking in those key suppliers.
Number one.
And then after that we move on to catering. So that's kind of all we wanted to cover in today's episode, everyone. I hope that was a little bit insightful for you, and you get a bit of knowledge, about step 1 of the wedding planning process and what you need to be looking for when booking in these key suppliers.
Yep.
Tune in 2 weeks' time. We're going to release our next episode. We haven't figured out what that's going to be about yet, but, we will come back to you on that one, and we will see you in a couple of weeks for another episode of Bali Weddings Unveiled. Bye. Peace out.